Hey, what's up? What's up? I hope everyone's having a good evening. Who's in the room? I think I seen somebody in the building. Are you guys familiar with semantic? Right? Semantic healing. Let me see if I can look something here. Semantic healing, semantic therapy. Let's see who's in the room. Hey, what's up, sir? Everybody, welcome. Christopher. Thank you, sir, for being in the room. Yes, from Michigan. Thank you, sir. Yes. And, of course, Miss Dorothy. Mind Snap Social, Miss Dorothy. We got her in the building. We had her on last week. I know you guys have picked up some of her books. How to Get Unstuck Spiritually. Look at that. She's my writing coach. We're about to do something here real crazy. It's gonna be good. Thank you, Miss Dorothy, for everything you do. This beautiful picture that you have on there. So awesome. You guys remember to like and share for sure, 100%, because it's the resources that we provide. It provides healing, connection. There's so many people that want to really connect to what we have going on here. Everybody say hello to Miss Marie. All the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Expanded Conscious Community. Thank you so much, Miss Marie, for everything you do, for tapping in, tuning in. This is just you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you for 100%. Like, it's a joy to actually come back and you get to see the people that you get to see, right? Each week you'll have maybe you get to tap in, tune in. Sometime you may not get to, but for the most part, yes, we get to actually see and communicate with each other. Let's use these internets to do that. Miss Deidre, all the way East Coast, Washington, D.C., right? I think I'm on. This is so awesome. Oh, yes, Miss Dorothy, you like that? Yeah, had to get a retwist. Just, sooner or later I'll take it down and then she'll be all really nice and neat. I had to do that because my 18-year-old daughter just graduated high school. People say one down. I'm like, I'm not pushing my kids out. Like, they're going to go and they're going to do what they're going to do. But we have a great relationship with our kids. Like, it's kind of sad. We love our kids. It's like, oh, I want my baby to go. Anyways, thank you, Miss Rose. Everyone, this is Mrs. Rose. She's amazing. She has a heck of a story. I can't wait to have her on the show. Like, you talk about deconstructing. Woo! Man, that's a heck of a story when you start talking about the Mormon church and the way it functions. Look, it's a learning process, and I'm so glad we have each other. Thank you so much for tapping in and tuning in, Miss Rose. And we look forward to actually hear more about your story. All the way from the Detroit, Miss Dolores. How are you doing this evening? I hope you're fine. I know you're fine. I know you are amazing. 100%. You're always amazing. I hope your brother's doing really wonderful also too. And so hopefully we'll talk again soon. Mother White's in the building. So good to see you. Miss Beverly. Yes, yes. I was looking and seeing your profile today. Hmm. Isn't that neat? I think it's so cool. So cool. We're gonna have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Because one of the things that I truly believe as we of course share this, because one of the things that I truly believe is that you were once a person that began to question some of the ideas, some of the thoughts. You questioned some of the ideas and some of the thoughts and some of the processes and some of the things that were in societal systems, even outside of the church. Like you question things. And so we want to grow, we want to learn, we want to become deeper. That's the whole purpose of expanded and expanding our consciousness, not just here, but here, right? All of us, we're expanding the whole self because we have that ability. One of the things that I believe and know that the church and the religious systems can do is it can actually block us. We can have certain things that get us stuck. It could get us stuck, and we don't know why we're stuck. But I believe through the grace, as Bishop Carlton Pearson would say, can you out sin God's grace? But I believe the grace of God is, and God in itself is so magnificent and so big and so much more than we could imagine, that the systems that we have actually created around us don't have the opportunity to do what it does unless we allow it to do. But anybody that's tapped in and tuned into this sphere, we've we are there. We're there. Now we're here to congratulate each other. Now we're here to learn from each other. Now we're here to grow from each other. Now we're here to explore each other. Now we're here to create a community, right? That allows us to not just grow, but allows us to be, allows us to become. I've never been more settled, more at peace, even through storms, right? I remember being in the church, and if I had relationship issues with my spouse, I just remember like it feeling kind of like very structured and very like systematic, and you don't know necessarily what to do. And, you try to pray and do all those things. But I'm here to say that I'm grateful and thankful 100% for all that are tapped in and tuned in. Even absolute love, my dear friend, John Thomas. He's an amazing person. Miss Cynthia, she's here in Tulsa. Amazing, amazing person. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Everybody give a warm welcome to Miss Stana. Miss Stana, all the way from Arkansas. Thank you for your service, former veteran. Yes, yes. Hey. And we have Lynn D. Greetings to you. Greetings to you. All right. And Miss Dolores, yes, he was declared cancer free. That's, hey, we like to hear that. We like to hear that. Yes, yes. I enjoy my conversation with him. Most definitely enjoy my conversation. Oh, thank you guys once again for tapping into it in. And we're going to get on with the show. And it's so wonderful to have individual people. Like the way I see this, honestly, I just see it more or less like a family, even though I'm here in this space. And one of the things that we all have pretty much in common, I have some people not so much, but what we have in common is Bishop Carlton Pearson was one person. And I didn't even go live on Instagram. Typically I do, but um, that was one person that we had in common. And we come together I worked with him in dealing with expanded consciousness. And a lot of things, as we know, we deal with is coming from the Christendom and the spaces of religion. And as we kind of break free from those constructs altogether, we have each other. And the best thing we can ever do is have each other. If you really look at the whole system and the way it's all designed and the way it's all come to this point, it makes it real difficult. It was difficult for Bishop, but it makes it real difficult for us to embrace our true selves. It makes it difficult to say, like, you know what? I don't think I necessarily like agree with what this is or that is. And you know how it goes. If you disagree with certain aspects of systems in this world, not just religious, but even political, if you disagree with certain parts, people can have problems because now you're putting them into question. You're putting their discernment into question. You're putting their belief systems into question. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of somewhat shift gears because I love personal development. That is one of my dearest loves more than anything. And the other thing is well, who we have here to this evening also, we may talk about relationships, dealing with relationships, what it is to be in a relationship. We may briefly talk about it, but ultimately, I want to get down into this right here. The imagination code, discovering the limitless potential of your imagination. I mean, like, is anybody in the chat? I want to see if anybody is. Does anybody like? What do you think about that? That isn't that intriguing? This beautiful book. This is beautiful. So beautiful. I had to look in the chat. Hey, we see people still coming in, tapping in. It's so awesome. But anyways, some of these chapters are just completely amazing. Of course, they had their trials and tribulations, and they actually become transparent in here with the trials and tribulations. But the inner dialogue and the emotions that you deal with, the rejection, heal people. You always hear about hurting people hurt people. And so there's trauma involved. There's been a process. So let's go ahead and get this party started because I think it's going to be a good night. All right, guys, let's go ahead and welcome them to the stage. All right, let's see here.
Hi. Hello.
Hey.
So
wow.
It's so good to have you. You know, the energy, you know, when you said it was exciting, you know, I think what's more exciting, honestly, is when you have someone that you can resonate with, people that you can resonate with.
Absolutely.
And I believe you guys have worked hard and long to, I know some about your story, that you arrived to this, but one of the 100%, I'm gonna tell you that this community is loving and of course non-judgmental. They know their story. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
Malachi. And thank you, community.
Yes.
This is such an honor to be here. I mean, I feel the love. I feel the connection. I feel there's a power that's here. So we're excited tonight.
Yes, we are.
What I do is I always just take that moment. A lot of times we don't take moments just as we feel the emotion or feel what we feel and becoming it and just feel it fully.
Yes.
You know, breathing it in. You know, I do this, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not that I just do it because it's cool, because it's spiritual, but I had hospital emergency room level anxiety.
Wow.
So hospital emergency room level anxiety isn't like your mind is just, it's not like, oh yeah, you're just tripping. Hospital emergency room level anxiety is when you look at your heart rate and you're not doing anything, but your heart rate is actually increasing.
Right.
Like your body is beginning to act silly and you're trying to get it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so meditation, my spiritual quest, has not just been like me just wanting to one, be cool,
Right.
as we say, woo woo. It was actually something that helped me, right?
Yes.
And it helped me process. It helped me get to this point, right? And it actually helps a lot of people. I did a lot of shared a lot of these practices with Bishop, because a lot of the church looked at meditation from the scriptures, which was be like just taking a moment of silence, but not necessarily moving into the other deeper modalities, which I know just after going through your book that you guys have done a lot of research dealing with some epigenetics here. Like you guys have done some good work. But let's just start off by just your names and how did you, one of the questions that your names, but how did you get to the point of where you are here today now? Because I know you talked about some traumas and things you've been through and relationship stuff. So you guys go for it. And I'll give you, a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Chadwick Walsh, and I have come from a family of pastors. I'm originally from New York, Jamaican nationality. My background is Jamaican. Both my parents are from Jamaica. So yeah, man, I'm can't talk like patois and cook the rice and
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, you do that. But it's a beautiful thing to think of the heritage that I come from. And when I came to this place in my life, after being, I can even share this, that I was experienced paralyzation, schizophrenia, all from a concussion playing football. And I have a family that's praying for me, and I watched the power of God move through me. I watched healing happen in my life at a young age. And since that time, I dedicated my life to serving the church. I did. I really did. That was my walk. That was and then we attended Oral Roberts University, where I met my beautiful wife, and she has a whole heritage of, church, and her mother and her grandmother and my grandmother, and just a lot of, background coming out, coming from the church. And as we transition and walking through life together, we just celebrated 30 years together, married, and God has been so good to us. But this has been a transition that we would have never expected to occur in our life. Yeah. And that's where this book is kind of birthed out of, as we have transitioned in reference to our mindset. We're free. We're so free. And let me just say this, because there are no walls tonight, there's oneness, and there's so much power in oneness when we're together as one mind, one mission, one purpose. We're here to one and to become, more connected, as Malachi said. I love that.
Yeah. Well, my name is JaLana Walsh, and like you said, we've been married. May 7th, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary, which it's amazing to be married this long and to still be in love like we are. We're actually probably more in love now than we were then. But, like Chad said, we went through an incident in our marriage around year 12, where we went through infidelity in our marriage. And this was extremely traumatizing. Yeah. Not just for me, even though
I was the one that was unfaithful.
Right. But, it took a lot to get to this place. And what we realized through all the different traumas, well, let me just say this. The reason we wrote the book is through our relationship coaching program. We have been meeting with couples for years. And one of the things that we recognize and noticed is that a lot of the issues and problems that people have in their marriage stemmed back to individual problems that they were having within themselves. And so we wrote this book as a means of almost coaching yourself through a lot of the tools that we utilize to bring healing and to journey through a lot of the trauma, not just in our marriage, but, you know, individual trauma that we brought into the marriage. I remember Bishop Carlton, he would say that marriage is not the union of two individuals, it's the collision of two backgrounds. And that has always stuck out to me. And it is so true that even in our relationship coaching, people bring things into the marriage because they've got unresolved issues within themselves that they have not dealt with. And so this book is really a lot of tools we've applied and used that teach you how to use your imagination, because everything goes back to your thought life. Everything does. How you think. I mean, there's even a scripture in the Bible in Proverbs 23:7 that as a man thinks, so is he. Your thinking literally sets the stage for the type of, it is, who said it? Albert Einstein, that your imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. So if you want to know what's going to happen in your world, what's going on upstairs in your mind, you have to really pay attention to your thoughts and your imagination and what's going on. So these are very practical tips.
Very practical tips. Very practical. Just like the Bible says that we should love our neighbors as we love ourselves. That's Mark chapter 12, verse 31, that says that we should love our neighbors as we love ourselves. We've heard, every one of us have heard this, but how many times has it been taught that we should love ourselves? And that would be the fix for every relationship. Because if we can love ourselves truly, then it's easier to love one another. That's usually the problem. When you see a person treating someone wrong, it's usually have the problem with themselves. It starts there.
Yeah.
You have to love you.
Right.
So that you can love else.
All right. So we're about to double click. I'm about to get in coach mode. Coach mode. We're gonna double click into that. We're gonna double click into that. The love ourselves. Here's the issue that we have with love ourselves, guys. I could say it, you could say it, we could say it. But how do we be cognizant of what that means if we don't know how to approach it? So in other words, let's get a little practical in the sense of like, how did you discover if you were or were not loving yourselves individually?
Right. Absolutely.
I will say that for me, I'm biracial. My parents got married a year after it became legal for interracial couples to get married. That became legal in 1967. And I grew up feeling rejected from all of society. I can remember times. So my parents married, and my mother was Caucasian. My father was African American. My mother's pretty much her entire family rejected her for marrying a Black man. So I didn't meet much of my mom's side of the family until I got maybe 8, 9 years old. But I can remember as a child going out with my family at family vacations. They would not check us into hotels as a unit, as a family, because my dad was Black, my mother was white. We were rejected. I can remember not being seated at restaurants when I was young and basically being kicked out of the restaurant. So when you grow up with that type of hatred and rejection, over time, I almost, this self-loathing, this rejection from the world, I began to turn that on myself, and I never accepted myself. And it took me years, because for most of my life, I struggled with being overweight and feeling like I'm not pretty enough, I'm not good enough. And so I always thought I felt that way because of, my weight. But the truth is that wasn't, it went deeper than that. And it was because I just didn't love who I was. I remember we got into this really bad argument about a couple of years into our marriage, and we were going off, and he turns to me and he goes, he's like, do you like yourself? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I don't like myself. And he's like, well, how do you expect me to like you if you don't like you? And I was just like, oh my God. Like, first of all, I thought he was rude for saying that. Mm-hmm. But I thought about that. And it's so true that we have to love ourselves. And so for me, I had to identify the source of it. And this is something we talk about in our book, is when you have a limiting belief about yourself, you need to identify it. And then you need to go back and look at the root of where that thought came from. And so it took me forever to understand that, like, this didn't come from, oh, me being overweight. This came from the rejection I felt from everybody, family members, society. I felt so much rejection that I began to turn that on myself. So hopefully that answers your question as for where it came from for me.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's wonderful. I think one of the things is self-love has to be processed or identified, that you're doing the work and saying that I'm doing this work to learn to love myself.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I think it's a it's not just a one, it's like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, oh, I love myself. It's
right. Exactly.
Right.
It's a whole process in just even thinking about being any level of Black in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We experience that, or in the world, we experience that. But so how about you, sir?
Well, I have to say this. You hit a point that, and we kind of discussed this a little bit in the book in terms of epigenetics and how genetically things in terms of terrible, life-changing incidents can be passed down from ancestors. Mm-hmm. So that's also we're kind of wired with this self-rejection. So you said that, and I'm not going to go too far because it's in the book, but there's a little bit of a, how do you say, the pain and suffering and years and generations that went through oppression. Those things have been genetically kind of embedded within that race of people. So it's that for those that have been rewired in a way, for those that have been exposed to tremendous amounts of love and knowing who they are, which is now we're just now on the cusp of really understanding who we truly are, right, with the true characteristics of God, with His love, with his joy, having that same nature within me, being wired the same way. Now I'm realizing that now I'm beginning to rewire the very thoughts that I've had for years, that my grandmother had for years, that my great grandmother, all those things are starting, they've hit pretty much a brick wall now of love that's shifting that mentality that has been in my system, in my family system for years.
Right.
Ooh, that's getting into this thing I'm researching in a lot of traditional or Christian organizations have used this keyword, and it's spiritual DNA, and they're just using it in the sense of saying God is the DNA, right? But where you're getting at is really actually saying the spiritual DNA to me is like there's an element of us within spirit that's coded within us. John Thomas will talk about this, which is Greg Brayton brings up a saying where it was God eternal within the body, right? And it's basically his coding of understanding that we have there's a God code. There's something that's connected to us deeper, right? That's one thing that the church hasn't allowed and doesn't want to allow, is to allow the God self or the person, right, to realize and to understand and to know that there is some part of us, right, that's tapped in, tuned in, and can be turned on to the elements of God, not just the heart, the heart of God, the elements of creation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just to make see if anybody is. They still kind of Pentecostal over here, so they might be shouting in the room. That's beautiful. I think that was a wonderful connection and understanding to self-love and how we can do the work, right?
Right.
The imagination, when you start talking about imagination, what does that mean really? Because of course people can think about imagination from a Disney-like point of view, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so what does that mean whenever you took that and you named that the entire book, Imagination Code? So there's of course code to this, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm. There is.
I mean, I believe your imagination is your direct link to possibility. And it's so interesting that, from the time we're children, you'll hear, oh, get your head out the clouds. And children are naturally creative and expressing through creativity. And here, yet we have God, the creator God, who lives on the inside of us. And our imagination is that place where you can, I don't know how to explain it. Where you can create. And so, it has to do with that part of us that may feel a little bit like, I don't know, a fairy tale, or, that you're putting your mind but you're putting your mind in the realm of possibility. I'm trying to find the right words.
And we've said it in the book where everything that you see, everything that you've, smelled or touched came from someone's imagination.
Yeah.
Either you have thought of it, that building, that house, the shoes, the clothes, everything you're looking at, someone imagined it at one time, meaning it's a source of creation where you look at God as the one who makes something from nothing, but within us, he's given each one of us that same exact power as himself.
Right.
He's living through us as us.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing to see us use that thought, that picture, that mindset. And there's so much more in the book that explains it. And I won't give you too much, but it's really powerful.
Yeah. That we're co-creators with God, and I think a lot of times we think life is happening to us and not for us. And we get to participate by creation through imagination. So, the older I get, the more I'm putting my head back in the clouds because I want to see and envision and tap into the realm of possibility. I remember there was, I can't remember the guy's name, but what was that quote? You know what I'm talking about? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's what I was trying to say. And for years, no matter what we were hoping for, my mind would but prepare for the worst just in case something happens. And I'm like, why did we do that? Why did we pick up that negative form of thinking? We don't need to do that. We need to just dream and put ourselves out there and know that there's limitless potential, that we have limitless potential, and there's limitless possibilities out there. And we don't need to buffer ourselves or thinking about, something bad's going to happen. And I think that fear led us for so many years. And the fear came because of the trauma that we both had went through. And it was trauma that was unresolved. So we were making a lot of fear-based decisions, preparing for the worst, hoping for the best, instead of saying, you know what, love and fear cannot coexist in the same place. So I want to be filled with love. I want to be tapped in to love, who God is. He is love. So I want to tap into that, and I want to be love. When I walk into a room now, I realize that I'm bringing love into the room. I'm bringing peace into the room. I'm bringing joy into the room because of the essence of who I am. But that took going through the work and the process of, peeling back the layers of trauma and getting to the root of it and literally rewiring the way I thought about situations and things.
Right. And you notice how love is a key word in our whole conversation. Healing comes through love. Balance comes through love. And we've always said this for years, and we still do, that God is love.
Right.
So if God is love, and we emphasize love being the main element of our power, of our success, now we kind of get on that wavelength that moves our heart every minute. That love's empowering that. That love is moving that is actually rotating this earth right now. That love is empowering this universe. That love is within and a part of everything that we are and that we live in. So it gets to the point to where you are surrounded by love. And when you realize that,
right,
there's only one power.
Yeah.
That's God. That changes everything.
Right.
Because he envelops everything. It shuts down every dark thought, every fear. When people come to that level of saying, I'm surrounded by love, ain't nothing gonna come near me that's to hurt me. If something comes there that's opposite of what God is, I'm gonna watch it and learn and grow from this.
Right.
It's no more a defeatism. There's no more, oh God, what's going on? You know we always win because you are a part of God's love.
Yeah.
Would you say in order for you to get there, though, you had to lean into your discomfort and deal with your suffering, right? These are chapters.
Right.
And so also I talk a lot about shadow work, right? Which you don't really hear in the religious spaces, right? And that's you dealing with you, right? And then being able to, or other parts of you that where you may be getting in your own way. So I think you're arriving, tell me in a little bit about, like, you talk about it in infidelity or any other, I'm pretty sure you've made other mistakes in your life, right? And so the thing is like, tell me a little bit about, like, how you saying lean into your different discomfort and your suffering, but also kind of combine that with, like, shadow work, like your own self getting in your own way. Like, what happened in your life where you were able to recognize it or call it forth, owning it?
Well, my first thing I can say is my self-impression of what we think of ourselves. Once again, what we think of ourselves. I thought of myself as this great guy. I always thought I'm this good guy. I would never do that. And when the situation came and I made the decision that I wish I never made, was to be unfaithful to my wife, now my image changed. Now I saw some dark things within myself. Now I started to see myself. My impression of me became very dark. I'm not worthy of forgiveness. I'm not worthy of her love. Now everything shifted from being this guy that's like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. I'm good. Everything's good. No, it changed to, no, I shouldn't even live right now. I shouldn't even. So I had to face that. I really had to face that fact that, no, this is not who you are. That doesn't define you. I really had to face that part of me that became, to a degree, the impression that I had of myself. I really had to face it straight on.
Well, and I was going to say the rejection that I already had felt, it was almost confirming that I was unworthy when this happened. So, when you talk about the conscious and subconscious mind, it's almost like an iceberg. And, you only see 10% generally of an iceberg. And that would represent your conscious mind, but there's 90% that is below the surface. And usually our subconscious mind is running us a lot of the times. Like every day we have between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts, which of 80% of them are negative, and 95% of them are just, they're repeated thoughts that we have every single day. So a lot of times we are thinking things and feeling things, and it's just on autopilot. We may not even know where it came from. It could be something that we heard growing up, and we just look at life that way, and we don't even know where it came from. So when you're getting into the subconscious mind, one of the techniques we teach in the book is you have to pay attention to what you're thinking, because your thoughts hold the key. Lisa Nichols is, oh my gosh, I love this lady. But she says that your life is a physical manifestation of the conversations that are going on in your head. And you have got to pay attention to the conversations and your thought patterns and the things that you're thinking and where did that come from. And I was the type of person that I was filled with so much fear all the time. I made fear-based decisions all the time. And then the rejection that dominated me, when I started paying attention to where did that insecurity come from? Where did that rejection come from? What are you saying to yourself? Because it's almost like this negativity is taking up real estate inside of you, and every step you're making is being determined. You know, you may feel the unction to go start a business or to go do something creatively, and you've got your subconscious mind telling you you're not good enough. Oh, you can't make it. You're never going to make enough money. Nobody supports you. Whatever those thoughts are, you have to pay attention to them and be intentional about rewiring the way that you think and looking at all of those limiting beliefs and saying, I don't want to think that way, and using affirmations and paying attention to what the root of that is and rewiring yourself. There's work that has to be done, but the beautiful part of it is that as you begin to do that, you will begin to see that I'm thinking differently now. My default thinking is no longer, oh, you're no good, you're nothing. You know, you'll think, no, I'm worthy. I'm loved because I love me, and I am worthy for every good thing that comes to me. I'm abundant. I'm overflowing in love. I'm attracting love. I'm attracting joy. So when you get to that place where you're intentional about it and you begin to do the work, which is, you know, when you talk about shadow work, it is so crucial and beneficial to do that work.
And one of the pivotal points of that work is forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for being that way. That is one of the most pivotal moments to say, you know what? I forgive me. That changes it. That was a game changer for me. I came to a place of, I forgive myself for going that way, going that direction, for being that, because that wasn't me. That's not who I am. I forgive that part of me. Right. Addressing everything with love, even when it doesn't feel good, even when it's something bad. I forgive you. I forgive me. That's something that's really said. It's always, I forgive someone else. But we rarely address ourselves as the one that we forgive. That helps.
But do you do that, would you say, audibly and in a sense that it's like you parenting that inner child?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's, I'll tell you, when you said that, that's one of my methods when I deal with individuals. And I'll say, just in life itself, people just do crazy things out there, act up. You're like, I remember that child. I remember when they were a child. We can all remember, because we were all a child one day. That helps us deal with situations, but I also deal with myself. I have to see myself as a child, and that and there's a portion of the book that addresses that, where you went through an exercise in doing that. It was powerful.
Yeah.
So that's
where the imagination code comes in, is because your imagination is running, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. There are stories that are playing in your head over and over and over. We're writing narratives all the time. So you get to be the producer of what you're imagining in your mind. And, you know, I had a traumatizing incident that happened when I was a little girl, dealing with racism. And one day I was like, where did this self-hatred start? And it took me back to the specific incident that I went through as a little girl. And I began to use my imagination, not to change the narrative of what was already done, but to expound on it. And as I began to expound on that, that incident that happened, and I saw my grown self going to the little girl who I was and comforting her and speaking life into that young girl that was, in the backseat of the car and terrified.
Mhm.
And I began to do that. It literally, I would get traumatized every time I would drive past that place where that incident occurred. And now when I go past that place, there's no pain. There's no more trauma. There's no more, because it was almost as if I expounded on the story, and it feels real. It feels as if that's how it really happened now, because I was able to use my imagination to bring healing to that little girl who was so broken and hurt by that incident.
As you guys talking about the imagination code, you're talking about all these various things that are in the book. I'm going to pivot on you, and it's going to be really cool. You'll like it.
Okay.
So many of us can formulate these ideas, especially as we age. But I'm a doer.
Mhm.
Okay. I have been the guy behind the scenes I had my own business for a long time. Started when I was in high school trying to do business, but I'm a doer. One of the things that I see, and it's in my spirit right now, is that we have a lot of people that can speak well.
Mhm.
We have a lot of people that have great content internally.
Mhm.
One of the things that I know that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna shift this community to understand, is that we have so much knowledge and so many people, and sometimes what happens is, whether I have knowledge or have understanding, or someone else have something, we kind of feed off each other. One of the things that I think is a true anomaly, and that is our ability to produce and create,
Mhm.
right? What makes Einstein amazing was the fact that he can formulate a hypothesis, but he could actually pin it and put it down and test it and bring it into reality.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that we can all suffer from is having an idea, having our imagination, and it turning into a pipe dream.
Mhm.
Mm.
When I say pipe dream,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right,
Yep.
it's like being able to say, I'm going to do something
Right.
and then commit to do it and then
Mhm.
actually produce. Because one of the things I think can help not just this community, but the community at large in expansion or expanding the consciousness is the fact that I read a whole lot of books. I
Yeah.
watch a lot of YouTube videos, a
Mhm.
lot. It's easy to sit back and read 50 million books, have all kinds of notes, right? But then it's another thing when it says, okay, I'm going to put this to action
Right.
and
Right.
then I'm going to create something. Because what good does it do a person if we just have this grandiose ideas for us, but we don't put nothing into action?
Exactly.
That's
I'm going
true.
to pivot on you because what book is this?
The imagination code.
What number book is this? Number 2?
No.
Number 2 together. Number 5.
Yeah, I've done 5
5
books.
books, yeah.
Okay, you done right. You get them. See where I'm going? Like
Yeah. I
in the
do.
heart of hearts, it's not a large community, but we can go through and get through all kinds of things. But the process is the journey, right? The whole
Right.
process. A lot of
Right.
people see people's success in what we're trying to do when it comes to expanded consciousness. But I mean, like, I believe the electric car is the expansion of consciousness. I believe this
Absolutely.
very talk we have right now is the expansion of consciousness. It's
Mhm.
not limited to spirit. If we can unlock our spirit,
Mhm.
Yes.
we can unlock the bounds that the church has done, because literally it bounds you to a point where you can actually just it's like where if you get on even social media, you'll see these people and there's like 400 million theologians with their own take on scripture, but they at least are producing. They are at least getting online and
Yeah.
producing and
Right.
making something, even if it's garbage, even if it's something we don't want. So this is book number 5. How did you do it? How did you get to the point where you would just talk about these things, experience these things, but say, I'm going to produce something. I'm going to actually take what God has given me and my talent, ability, my God code, and I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a story. I'm going to post a video. I'm going to do something that actually can help somebody, because it don't help not a soul if we could just sit back and philosophize. There's a lot of that happens,
Right.
especially online,
Right.
or just in general. What would you say?
Well, I would personally say that, imagination is just the first step. Production is a whole nother step. And I think a lot of times it's doing that work to get to the root of, why are you not producing? Why are you not stepping out and doing something? And it could be that there's some unresolved trauma, there's some fear that's there's some things there that's limiting you. And the other part of that is stepping out into the unknown. That's where the magic happens. And so I think it's very, a lot of times people want to be so overthinking and calculating and knowing where it's going to come from and what they're going to do, instead of just saying, I'm going to do what I know to do first. I'm going to put one step in front of the other. And every time we've written a book or done anything that where we were putting ourselves out there, as we made steps to do it, the resources came, the people, the connections, everything that we needed would come along and just serve us as we had faith in the steps to just trust ourselves enough to just step out there and begin to do it. So I think it's starting with getting into your thinking of, what is it that's hindering me and keeping me from stepping out? Where is that coming from? Because a lot of times people just like to talk, and it might be there's an insecurity there and they just want to talk to make themselves feel like there's something, and they're not really getting to the root of who they are, their purpose, and what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. And I'll add this to it. I work with a lot of teenagers in the school system. I've worked in schools in Georgia, and I've said this. This is like my mantra for young people. If you want to find out what you want to do, first find out what you love. Find out what you enjoy to do. Whatever you were made to do, you're going to love doing it. Right. It's not going to feel like work to you.
Right.
That's one of the keys in getting things done, is working from a standpoint of bliss, working from a standpoint of love. We enjoy sharing this. We love this. So it doesn't feel like an obligation. Oh, I got to get this done. And that works too.
Right.
But so much more powerful is when you're doing it out of a state of, I love this. This brings me joy. That right there is a key. And a lot of young people I've worked with and I've spoken to, they've said, man, it takes a big load off my shoulder. I thought I had to do this. I'm going to do what I love to do. And they're doing it. Yeah. I'm seeing them. They're friends with me on Facebook, and they're saying, thank you for telling me I'm doing what I love. I'm making money. So it's that simple formula of find out what you love to do. Right. If you're not in that lane, you could miss it. You might produce something, you may, but in the end of it all, what will it, really mean to you? What will it be a part of you?
Right. And I think also what it does to the effect of the planet, of the consciousness, of the experience, of the expression, of the turnover, of the let go, allowing, right? It's like we deal with a 2,500-year-old story that we fight over, if you will, create all these different ideas. But it's like, if we didn't have the text, right? The whole thing is they took away from the text. And then now we're just coming up with being able to find these tangible things to question the text. Now we can not even question that text. We can question our own country, right? Where are these documents? Where are this? And I say that because in your journal, because in doing this work, right, you read it, but then what do you do?
Right.
Right. How do you apply it? And then how do you share what you are applying?
Right.
You know, I see that in the imagination, because there's the imagination code journal, right? During your quiet time, what do you imagine? Vision list for the day. Think about some of the biggest obstacles. Make your list, right? I think this is the one of the most script 1, script 2. I know a lot of people have done a lot of different workshops and different things.
Right.
But I don't think it's like just because you've done one doesn't mean you can't do another.
Right.
And the fabrics of our universe are based on, it's like if we all come together and we're even doing some work, it's still coming together. Whether it's online, spending this time 8:30, you know, my time. It's like there's still some tangible things that we must do. And I think the whole system of, if we look at even the spiritual systems of the church, it's like they have a massive infrastructure that has taken hundreds of years to build. And without that system, they've created music, they created all these things. It's like without the people being inspired to move and do and allowing spirit to help you move into a tangible direction.
Right.
I'm not sure. It's like, it's good for you and maybe share too, but I'm not sure how fruitful it can be for the masses, because I read a lot of dead books. Dead books meaning people that have died. I read their books, right? Success. What is it? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Where the person believes it or not, it's still have been it's a book that is standardized, especially within a lot of the young entrepreneur spaces.
Yes.
That has been used for people to read it.
Right.
Take some form of action and actually make a difference.
Right.
For themselves, possibly someone else.
Right.
And so, one, I just want to honor you for this moment in this hour, right? Because the books that you had before this weren't in this context. It was a part of who you were before this.
Right.
So it's the journey, correct?
Yes, absolutely. You know, one of the things I want to say is that too, when you're looking, a lot of times we are so motivated by money and having, and I think it's important that we really truly tap into the essence of who we are and doing things from a place of love. And that's the reason why I said sometimes we've got to do that work, and you know, that the trauma can sometimes keep us. We haven't even experienced self-love to know what we love. And then we're trying to just chase money and chase things, or chase mama's dream or somebody else's dream, a dream that we didn't even really want to begin with. And yet we're spending our whole life chasing this. And the next thing you know, we're married with kids, got a family, and we feel stuck and we feel like we can't do what we love. And I think it's really important to really, service is so important. The more I grow and am filled with love for others, it's service to me. We wrote this book to be a blessing, to be our love language, a gift to others around us who may feel trapped, who may be hurting, who doesn't love having enough to travel and money and pay your bills. We all want that. But the truth is, I'm not chasing that. I'm doing what I love. Writing is my love. Being with my husband and traveling and speaking and empowering other people. That's what I love to do. So I think when you're talking about just producing, what is it you're producing and what is your motive for why you're producing what you're doing? Who do you want to serve as you're doing it? Who do you want to help? Who are you? Where's that expression of love? Who is that for? Or is it just to line your pockets? And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, to have money and to make money. But when you're doing something with a deeper purpose, I think that's something that needs to be evaluated. And sometimes if you're not healed yet, you make a lot of decisions and do things from a broken place instead of a healed place. So when you become healed and you make decisions and you do business endeavors from that healed place, you'll produce. It'll be a little bit different than, oh, I'm just doing this because I need the money, and you're chasing the money versus being healed.
Because you're still trying to fix what's broken by doing this. Mm-hmm. But when you're fixed and when you're everything is set, all you want to do is give.
Mm-hmm. Is there a healing process in producing?
I would say during the process of producing,
like, as you're writing this book, you're finding new information. As you're doing this, you're finding you're connecting, right?
Oh, yeah. Synchronicities are happening all the time as you're walking the right path. We're on the path of giving. Things just start opening up, and it blesses you. You get strength from it. You get restoration. You get healing going on, and that's just the way the universe works. It just works always. As you're giving, it comes right back.
Yeah,
because that law, you put it out there, it comes right back to you.
Yeah,
double.
Because you guys have that. I'm tapping in some things that are just already in it. Because it says here in the workbook, you have, what does your future self look like? That's a projection, but at the same time, you projecting and you actually have to write something in. What's the daily to-do list? Like, you're actually putting some actions to your life through this healing process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's the part of it. I for years in church, we'd hear that scripture to write the vision and make it plain. And a lot of times we're thinking of vision as that big thing that we want to do. But what's your vision for your day? What are you going to do? What if everything in your life worked out the way you wanted it, what would your day look like? How many of those things could you incorporate into your day right now? Like, what would you do if you didn't have to go and work your 9-to-5 job and do, all the things that a lot of us are, stuck doing right now, right? What would your day look like? And then I did that one day and I said, oh my gosh, every one of these things on this list, I can start incorporating now. So why am I waiting to arrive at some destination instead of living it out right now? And you might have to work a little bit at a slower pace than you would if you weren't working a full-time job, but you can still do a lot of those things. So if you start incorporating those things and writing that vision for the day, like what you see, what you want to accomplish, and take it one step at a time. And it's so fulfilling. Instead of, a lot of times we just have these humongous dreams and all we're thinking about is that big old vision over there instead of the little steps of every day, what you could do, what your day would look like, and to start doing it now. So that's why we included that in there, because we're living it now. Both of us work, and we also are working and working. We're doing all the things that we love. We love our life right now. We write the day that we want to have, and we're living it out. So I think it's important to be filled and to work from a place of joy. Not work for joy, work from joy. Because when you're healed and you're in love and you're in full joy and you're working from a place of joy and not like, oh, when I get there, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to be filled with joy. No. Get that first. That's why we included that in the book with the transformation. You got to heal. And then as you're healing, you start writing those things into your day, and you're working from a place of joy and living in love and bliss. It's the most amazing feeling.
But would you say part of the writing, part of the processes of doing something helps with the healing process?
I say so, because, especially affirmations, a lot of times we're saying the worst things to ourselves in our inner dialogue. And I think it's really important that we begin to speak and write down and affirmations and declare over ourselves and speak over ourselves. It's a whole process, and you'll look back a year from now and go, I'm not the same. I can say that now. I'm not the same person I was this time last year. When I say my life has changed, there's been some amazing things that have manifested in our family that have just blown my mind. And it was just doing one step at a time. Instead of like feeling like, oh, you need something so big to happen first, start with one step at a time.
Right. And from a practical sense, there was a study done. They took 25 students, they were college students, had them write down their plans. And they took another 25 that didn't write down their plans. Percentages of those who accomplished it were the ones that wrote it down. It's just a practical sense of just writing things down, thinking about it, imagining it, starting it out, but putting it on paper and keeping it before you. Those are the practical things that we put there to say, that's why the journal's there. So you can write it down.
Right.
And that helps the process move a little bit further. That's a part of creating, because our words are powerful, especially when you put them on paper.
Yeah.
I said that, I wrote that, this is what I'm going to do. And you live that way. We really do.
Yeah.
By our words.
So go ahead. Now I was going to say that the imagination code is not just, it's about kind of going back with healing and helping through the trauma or whatever incidences that you might have faced, but it's also about creating the life you want. It's not just about, okay, I'm transformed and I'm all good. No, we want you to have the life you want, what you were put here to do, what you were created for, to live that life, so it's just steps to get there. But, we did our best to unveil our steps for, how we got where we are now.
I believe it's beautiful. Healed. I love that statement where you say, heal people, right? Because you're hurting people, hurt people. So getting people healed from a what perspective when you say healed?
I would say healed from an emotional, because there's a lot of, right now we're living in a time of when you say mental awareness is a big topic right now. Even the way they handle law enforcement, they're sending counselors, we need that. We're not just going out there to arrest people that are in mental distress. We want to help people through these mental situations. So that's really that's a big part of the healing right now, especially after going through the pandemic. We were so separated and disconnected. A lot of kids are dealing with a lot of mental situations, emotional distress. Also, the things that happened, and I think we covered this, was a baby, while they are in the womb, while the mother is carrying that child, a baby experiences trauma that can follow that child all through its life. So we're dealing with so many situations that are causing these difficult things for people to process.
Right.
So dealing with the mental aspect of it, emotional healing is definitely key. So we can respond well, so we can treat each other well, because we got to live with each other. We have to interact. So when that healing comes to the inner self and begin to love yourself, and you address the situations that hurt, address the situations that need to be forgiven, and we deal with those situations, then freedom comes, healing comes, and now we're no longer hurting other people. We're bringing healing to others.
Well, and not only that, just as you can inherit generational trauma, you can pass on healing to the next generation. If you will just rewire the way you think and get healed, you won't pass on the trauma to your offspring for them to have to deal with it, even though they didn't even personally experience it. When you heal, your DNA heals, and you pass on healed DNA to your offspring. So we have to do that. We got to stop at some point and do the work. And the truth is, a lot of people won't go do counseling. They won't do coaching, which we're big advocates for coaching or counseling. If you need it and it's that deep, then by all means, go and get it. But, we wanted to create something because we realized a lot of people won't. A lot of times in our coaching, we'll have the woman wants it and the man is like, I don't know if they're just coming because the wife wants them to come, and I think to have a book where they can work through things together or as individuals at home to begin to dig deep without feeling like I got to talk to somebody else about it. It's a tool, for them to use, but we want to pass on healing to the next generation. That's so important to me. to be healed. So I pass that on to my children.
As relationship experts, right? That means you've spent a lot of time, put a lot of time into the study, into the understanding or misunderstanding of what a relationship is, whether it would be with your the, a spouse or an individual. Briefly talk to me about like your perspective and like since that is a big part of who you guys are is relationship coach. Like what does that look like in the sense of saying, hey, I'm a relationship coach. A person comes to you with a specific issue, and then you guys usually will, now with this imagination code, you start doing inner work on yourself. Like, so briefly speak to me on the relationship with yourself and how does that correlate with relationships outside of yourself, like relationship with your spouse, relationship, whether and this could be from the perspective of how did you get to where you feel that you are within being able to help someone else uh, with relationships.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I kind of started where people, we're always in the people business. Coming out, working in churches for years, we've always been how would you say, the conflict resolution team. We were always they always looked to us like, oh, we got a problem. We just kind of naturally did it. One, because we had a solid relationship and we were pretty secure within ourselves, even though we're very transparent with our flaws that we have and traumas that we've dealt with. We were able to work through them because of our love for one another. And even though we went into the extreme of infidelity, but we still worked through that because our goal was love. So now going back to the people, helping them, it's really, for us, it has been helpful to listen, to be a listening ear, and not always talking, and watching and observing individuals. And that's something that has fascinated us over the years. Our kids, I'll tell you the truth, has been a huge inspiration. We have three wonderful children, 24, 21, and 18. And each one of them they're all different in a way. We've learned so much even from their own behavior, from their situations that we all deal with, whatever it may be. It's helped us to understand a lot of the human nature, both with our studies as well as just practical situations, helping individuals get along, which is in a family, sometimes it can be difficult because you have different personalities happening. So, okay, I see that child. That one has a gift. That one can see. That one is sensitive. That one don't want to talk much. So compiling all of that information, you see it in people every day. Simple behavioral mechanisms that are working.
Right.
I like that you said learn too, with that. Learn from your kid. Like a lot of parents project like that they are the right. Yeah. One of the things ego can kind of do that to us, where one of the things I follow the method of when the teacher is ready, the student appears, and I always want to remain in a student kind of mindset to life, because it's like I've done a lot of education, a lot of just experience, but it's like I'm in a space now where I'm more connected to spirit, allows me to be, especially whenever it comes to, I've experienced so much death that I don't need to have to be the one that knows. I don't want to be the one that knows.
Right.
I just want to be. I just want to be and
That's
be
it.
able to be open. Rather if you're 18 years old, and I've experienced this recently. It was a kid entrepreneur, and he's 18. This kid's going out and buying $4 water packs and going to events and selling a $4 pack of water, right, and making $1,100 a day whenever he has these events. Like, I'm like, that is so brilliant. I think hopefully I didn't lose you guys, but I think it's neat because of the
For sure.
fact that there we go. I think it's neat because of the fact that this kid was so um just humble, but yet though resilient. Um he didn't grow up with, I guess, his father, but I was able to, at my age, I was still able to listen to him and take it in and would be like, I was like, man, you are encouraging. I let
Yeah.
him know, like, you're encouraging, and uh, um, you being 18, especially a black male being 18, I'm like, you inspire me.
Mm-hmm. That's
And that's
awesome.
one thing is within the what I've learned more than anything is just when you know who you are,
Yeah.
when you know who you are and you
Mhm.
know what you can do and
Right.
what you do,
Right.
I don't have to project.
Right.
I could just be, and
That's
I could
it.
just do what I do,
That's
right?
it.
Right.
You know, and what would you're about to, if you can still remember?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, when, dealing with relationship, I think it's learning to build each other up. And the only person on this
Yeah.
planet you can control is yourself.
Yes.
And so, anytime, like in the beginning, part of our relationship, because I was so insecure, I was constantly making him dance around my insecurity,
Mm,
make me feel comfortable. But when you look in the mirror and you see every situation as something that's revealing something about yourself to you.
mm,
So why did I feel that? Why did that make me feel insecure? Why did that upset me and make me angry? When you begin to look at every situation, every person as a mirror that's reflecting what's going on the inside of you, then you understand that your job is to do that inner work and not try to change that other his thoughts, his feelings, that's his business. He's got to deal with that and work out those things. And as a loving wife, my job is not to highlight things I don't like or that bother me. We discuss them, we communicate through them. But I don't want my insecurities or my fears to dominate the relationship. And that's what they did for many years, is me constantly making him dance around those things instead of building him up and building myself up,
mm.
and loving myself. And the more I started loving myself, the more at peace I became, the more joyful it was for me to be around. Not that I was like this terrible person to be around, because I don't think I was, but was I?
No, no,
He's good.
no.
I'm waiting for him
My
to be
silence
like,
was just I was just in such awe. But I can say this for you, is that I literally witnessed her transform in the stillness.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
I
beautiful.
literally witnessed her transform in the stillness. This year, right?
Or last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
That's
In
beautiful.
the stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scriptures say, be still and know that I am God. That resonated so, it was so powerful. And that's something we teach in the book, and being still.
Right.
Being still, having that moment of quiet, so you can really realize, bring your thoughts, try your best just to observe your thoughts, but bring them to stillness. Breathing techniques have been just it's salvation through that. I mean, just saving grace. We that was an experience.
Right.
Watching that was pivotal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and too, I was going to say, when it takes resilience just to be resilient in marriage and life, whatever, because you will face some stuff, you will face some situations. And having 3 kids, you face circumstances that can be very overwhelming at times. And are you going to pull together? Or are you going to pull apart? And I think we kind of learned that little dance of how to pull together and be one with each other, and be at peace, and to resonate that in our family. And it's so funny because our family's so full of life, and we're real entertaining, fun people. And it's funny because we get people all the time like, I just wish I could be a fly on the wall in your house, because our kids it's multiplied times us. We're just full of life all the time, and we're happy, and our home is very happy because we're happy. But it takes each one of us as individuals to make sure that we're at peace with who we are as individuals, so we can share that together. You know, somebody told us in the beginning of a relationship, marriage is not 50-50, it's 100-100. You bring 100% of who you are into that relationship, and you share it with one another. His job is not to make me happy, and vice versa. I'm happy, and we get to share our happiness together. But instead of trying to pull that out of him and vice versa, that if you got an inner issue, or if I got an inner issue, then I need to go deal with it and get myself to a place of peace, so I can share joy with him, instead of trying to pull on him to make me happy.
Wow, that's a big, there's a part of your ego though that you have to go through to really recognize that, call it out. And I think even just by counseling yourself and being being forward with yourself in front of the person, and be like, you know, I know there has to be something that I can work on within myself.
Yes.
So one of the things, this is the imagination code. I want everyone to see this right here. I just tagged it right there, the imaginationcode.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I just spelled that. But anyways, it's also available on Amazon, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And on the website?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you want a signed copy, what do you need to do?
I hadn't thought about that.
It'll be all right. They
can request one. They can communicate to us through the site. They can request one, and we can set that up.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
Special.
Right. Absolutely.
I love it. 100%. You know, I look at the, I never did imagine when Bishop was signing one of his books that I have, and I never did imagine at that moment of him signing it that it was like, oh, this is going to be special, because it was so long ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it was going to be special to me, and how he signed it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, so I think it's really cool for signatures based on, I have one with Dr. Miles Monroe.
Wow.
And, which is, it's ironic, because I believe in synchronicities and things out there. It's like, I come across this picture right next to his birthday, and then all of a sudden his son ends up needing some help from me, you know?
Wow.
And it's just like, wow, like, you know, I really believe the synchronicities, and there's spaces, there's things that we don't understand, and we can get all deep into these things about us.
Yes.
But I'm a tease for next week. I'll make sure I post this. This is going to be, you guys don't want to miss this. Anyone doesn't want to miss this, because this guy here, his name is David Williamson. I'm going to have him next week. I get to listen to near-death experiences, or he had a full death experience, but it's kind of interesting for me, especially from his perspective of a minority, because he was an advocate, activist, a hardcore activist that became like really hardcore, and he began to just hate, right? And had this hate. And so he ends up having a heart attack. It was a process, has a heart attack, and it goes into drastic detail. It's not just a basic NDE. I mean, this is an NDE that is like hardcore, knowing doctors, knowing what the doctor's doing, knowing what the feelings are, going back to those people, being able to talk to those people whenever he was dead about what was going on. and going into the afterlife with full detail about what it is, what it's about, what he experienced, and who he is today. Because he's a completely different person after that experience. And I have him scheduled for next week. And I just wanted to tease that because I seen one of his top videos. It's got millions of views, and it's because the story is, because he talks about anger killed me. The story is phenomenal, and one of the interlinks that I have between that message and this message is that the expansion of consciousness, and what happens is it's more than just talk. If we can actually do the work, if we actually do the resources, imagination code. I would like, this evening, I would like for some, maybe let's try to buy 3 or 4 or 5 books on Amazon. I think that would be awesome. I'm a book collector. I love books. I'm addicted to books. I got bookshelves and no wall space. So I'm gonna just start covering the wall space with windows. I don't care because I need more books in my library. But I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys for this evening, and appreciate you guys for this this time spent with you, and for sharing. And hopefully, maybe one day we'll do the same thing. And if you have another book, or go in even deeper within who you are and what you what you have up on your heart. But I appreciate you for your time and for bringing this.
We appreciate you too, Malachi.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate the community. Thank you, all of you, for
you.
this time also. Thank you.
Yes, we have some wonderful. One of the things that I love about this community is like there's a lot of, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like as you're talking, we got a lot of specialists and different people in this. Dear Ruben, of course, he has, if you get a chance, you can go through here and you can see some of the comments and the engagement. Right. Both on YouTube and Facebook, you can see these comments. And what I believe about the comments is that other people can actually watch it, and then they can actually read it.
Yes.
They can read these particular comments. And so I really appreciate it. A lot of times what I'll do also when ending, I will allow you, the guests, to possibly lead us through just a quick talk meditation, kind of like a prayer, right? Because I really enjoy it myself. That's what I use. I'm trying to figure out how to click this thing off. I'm about to be like Bishop and cut the whole thing off. But just to, in the with this imagination code, you can lead us, for a couple of minutes, if you guys wouldn't mind. I think it would be great.
Sure. Let's all just pay attention to our breath right now. I feel a state of gratitude. We should be in a place of gratitude at this time. We are thankful for health. We are thankful for love. We are thankful for all of our capabilities to see, to hear, to walk, to talk. thankful for the presence. You are thankful for the life that is within us. And we are all extensions of God's power, of God's life. God living through us as us. And we thank God for love.
Yes.
I speak joy, peace, abundance, wealth, health unto every one of you. Joy, peace, abundance, health, wealth, prosperity to every single one of you. That's what I hear reverberating. Joy, peace, health, wealth, and abundance.
Yes.
That is who you are. And it is so.
It is. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank me, thank myself, you thank yourself, everyone
Yes.
thank theirself.
Yes.
With that presence of gratitude in this moment, in this hour. Let everyone have a good rest and wake up refreshed. And feel the healing. Deep breaths. Release it. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So beautiful. You know, one of the things that as you experience and you get used to worship, and you never really know what you're worshiping. And ultimately, I've had the feeling that when people do a lot of those traditional worship and they really are worshiping, they feel things inside, but they're really worshiping each other and the building and the pastor is like, sometimes there's one thing when you can go into yourself and it's okay to be within yourself and tap and tune into yourself, feeling yourself, right? Going into the connecting to the God self and also connecting to the breath. You know, it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity, the knowledge, the understanding, the ability, and the grace to feel what I feel when I get to do what I do in connecting to the higher self, to God, to all that with is and all that with this that isn't, right? I appreciate you guys for your time so much. Everybody, Imagination Code. You can go to the imaginationcode.com and you can also go on Amazon and you can check out the book there on Amazon. Miss Dorothy says, so powerful and cleansing.
Thank you.
Mrs. Marie, I think she says, thank me and all you for being belonging to the community.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
This is, I think that's Mother White. Love the many nuggets given to us. Tools to go beyond the present. Awesome. Hey, Miss Kate, it's good to see you. I'm glad you still were able to tap in. You can go watch the replay. Mr. Rubin, there you go. He's blessing you guys.
Oh, thank you.
It's so cool.
Oh, oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
so cool.
Sweet.
All right, guys, until next time, and you can hang on. But until next time, we will see you next week.
Yes.
Same time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.